Hi, my name is Love in Two Shoes Cottingham. My name is Love, bringing you a new way to love, loving love first. Beginning to love you before anything else. Before anything else was around here on this earth, in this cosmos, you were. And you were unafraid of it. You were unafraid of the darkness. You were unafraid of what you did not know. Because you had love, not you were it. And it was you. And love was not separate. And love was not a separate thing we do. Love was not something that we have. It's what we were. Our very essence was love. So we have to redefine love. We have to redefine love. Let's redefine it. Let's have fun. Let's enjoy what we're doing as we explore a new way to love. As we begin to entertain a new definition of love and create a new picture of love. Creating new pictures of love that love creates in us because we are no longer holding ourselves separate. So you see, whether I look like a man or a woman, have on a beard or not, lipstick or not, or no matter what color my skin is, will you love me if I have love? What does love look like? How does love respond? How does love respond to love? How does unconditional love come into play? Because you see, I suggest to you, we haven't even known what it is. We haven't even known how to describe it. Most of us have never kissed unconditional love, much less touched it in any way, touched it in word, deed, energy, consciousness. So I use this picture at the beginning of this lesson. A picture of cosmic love, a picture of two light people, two people of light, not even limited to flesh. Two light people not limited to flesh, coming together to embrace. But how do we embrace as light people? If we're two intangible beings, how do we embrace? You see, it's no longer the touchy-feely. It's no longer computed, calculated, cunning by the five-sense mind. The cunning of the five-sense mind calculates the existence of your reality no more, or what love is, or what love may be, or who she is, or it is, or I am, or you are. You see, let's go another place. Let's go a new direction. Or all directions at once. Can there be a ripple effect out from you in every direction at once? Like the ripples in a pond. You throw a rock in a pond and you see all the ripples ripple out, right? But we perceive that on the surface of the water. On a plane, we see the ripples out on a plane. But what if the ripples of our voice travel exponentially so that they ripple out from us spherically, no longer limited to the hearing of one's ear? What if there's an energy force that you project, even not knowing it, not even knowing you had it, not knowing you were it? We have thought and we have been taught that we were separate. We were people of a race of something, some kind of species, Homo sapiens or some such. And we've identified, as how we've been taught, we've identified ourselves by what we can see. And I'm asking you to begin to see in the school of me, the school of Theodore, the school of love, the school of you pursuing love, the school of you becoming love, the school of you no longer holding yourself from love for you to become it, so that you speak in deed and in all that you do and say and become, because you're it in the earth. A normal being that's no longer limited to the normal way that you have calculated what you seem to be. You're no longer letting these two things, your two eyeballs, keep you from reality, a reality that exists in a superposition, singularity. Or do you even know what that is? Or have you found out? Or do you ponder that like I do? And think about the Big Bang, the last Big Bang, or the first one? Has there been more than one? Many, my friend. Many existences. And we are about to get ready for a new one. Behold, it's no more the Lamb of God coming for his bride. It's you creating you in the consciousness of one to see the revelation being revealed to you, who you are, through who you are, through your very word. Your consciousness coming through your word to the enigma machines that we walk around with, analogous to the 8088 chip, the little CPU chip that was in the first IBM PC. I bought one of the first IBM PCs. You may remember it. Had a monochrome screen. Wasn't even color. Didn't come with a hard drive. Came with 64K. One floppy disk drive that, what was it? 320K. MIPS. Oh, it was awesome at the time. It processed about 300,000 instructions per second. I got a corporate discount and paid $2,500 for it. Didn't even have a hard drive. Had one floppy drive that L320K. Well, that's where it started. I think what I'm sharing with you about my experience with my first IBM PC is relevant, analogous, storyential. A story that you may can relate to. Storyential. That's a first. You see, when you begin to create, I'm asking that you begin to have fun and you frame your experience as exploration and adventure, no longer the digging of a trench tunnel, no longer groaning in flesh. Let's enjoy loving the process of learning love together as perfect love does. I didn't say it was easy. I didn't say it was simple, but let us enjoy it. Let us engage and no longer entrench ourselves in a theory, a philosophy, a Bible, a book, a theology, nor the wantings of any man. The IBM PC, huh? Oh man, I'm sure a lot of us have a lot of stories about the early days. And I remember the first time I set it up on my dining room table, got it all connected, plugged it in, turned it on. A few things came up on the screen, and then I had a little C prompt on that monochrome monitor. And that's all I did. And I remember thinking, what do I do next? How do I operate it? How do I engage with it? How do I use it? You know, a hammer I could see, or maybe I'd already seen people as I grew up. As I grew up, I saw a hammer and I saw people pick up a hammer and I saw people use a hammer. But we're not limited to the 100th monkey anymore, or whatever that theory may seem to espouse. I'm asking you to see a love beyond the stars, where you know you're no more limited to what you know about space, time, star shining, light workers, lover bees. Let's define perfect love. So if you wonder what I'm doing when I'm being silent, what am I doing? Am I relying on my intelligence, my great mind, my cognitive power, my intelligence? No. I have no outline for what I'm going to say. I haven't rehearsed what I'm about to speak. I come to you, and as I come to you every day, every time I record, I surrender. I surrender to speak. Sometimes I have more of a sense of what will come about than others. This morning when I got up brushing my teeth, I was just thinking about perfect love. And I remembered that I had this picture. So I began with this picture, but this is not the picture we're going to end with. As we develop this lesson, as we engage with each other. What is perfect love? Well, let's digress a moment with another question. Okay, if this appears to be two light people in some kind of form or fashion of a man and woman in the sky, man and woman, if the man, just think with me, just imagine. Let's go out of the realm of the natural or the rigid. So in this picture of two lovers in the sky, two light beings, ostensibly a man and woman, what if the man handed his brain to the woman handed her brain to the man? What would that be? What would they be? What consciousness would they have? Would it be a man in a woman's body and a woman in a man's body? And if so, what identity would they each have? Would it be in conflict? I'm a man in a woman's body, I'm a woman in a man's body. Or would it be the most natural thing in the world? What if it was seamless? What if it presented no boundaries? I remember the first time I asked that question to a human being. My friend Steve Alley and I were sitting in Ricardo's Mexican restaurant in Tulsa, one of the great restaurants. Their byline is where the locals go since 1970 something. And yeah, whenever I go to Tulsa, I try to get by Ricardo's. But I remember Stephen, we were sitting there talking about what this would be like. What identity would one have? So the brain represents, what does it represent to you? Well, let's ask some more questions. Because I'm not trying to give you all the answers. I desire for you to create a new adjustment bureau. I've mentioned the movie The Adjustment Bureau a number of times. Highly recommended. Love its ending. I'm not trying to give you the answer. I'm trying to help you create a new existence for the new beginning that is coming in to play, coming into being, a new beginning. Pardon me, got to cut the heater off. Oh, chilly when I wake up. So are we talking about identity? Or are we talking about the brain? Are we talking about existence? Or are we talking about perfect love? And what is perfect love? Is your brain your mind? I suggest your brain is not your mind. It's a processing unit. It's an organic, mechanical machine. When people die, apparently, their corpse, their brain remains in that head. It's no longer energized by something. When people die, corpse gets cold. We say they're dead, they're gone, they passed over the rainbow bridge, or whatever terminology you want to use. That brain is still there, right? But the energy, is that the right word? Let us explore. Let us be open to a greater vocabulary, a greater terminology, and redefine a lot of words that have held us back and constrained us to be living our lives riding around on bicycles with training wheels. I suggest you, the physical body may die, but who you really are, your consciousness does not. And I suggest to you that your consciousness has never died. And it won't die. So we could get in and we could get off on many rabbit trails, many significant aspects of the beginning before the Big Bang began, and how many Big Bangs have there been? How long is creation? How long are we here? Our life is but a vapor. My friend, I desire to come back to the subject of perfect love. Because in perfect love, there is no fear. Consider with me a few minutes what the ramifications, what it must be like. Imagine with me an existence with no fear. Fear of me, fear of you, fear of each other. Just you and me at the moment. If there was no fear, you would not fear me taking advantage of you. You would not fear me raping your flesh or taking advantage of secrets that I know, like your passwords to your bank account, or any other parts of your life, or things that we hold secret from each other. We hold secret, we hold secrets. We identify in our separateness. And we protect our separateness. Don't touch me. Don't look at me that way. Our species is really very fragile. But in reality, our consciousness is not fragile. So where's all this going, and why am I teaching about this? Because I teach leadership. I'm interested in leadership. I'm interested in you getting off the back rows, out of the shadows, no longer sitting on pews, no longer doing the same thing year after year after year after year, studying your Bible, praying to a God that will come heal the earth, heal the sinners, reveal Christ, or whatever your name for your God, and expect a different result. Pray, intervene. Well, prayer works, right? Prayer of the righteous? Or is it the prayer of the Creator? Are you the Creator who's praying to something you're calling out to when what you're calling out to is you? When what you're calling out to and what brings about a result that you attribute to a God is actually your love. You love, so you intercede. And your love has force. Not the force of the consciousness of your ability to brutalize someone else, but to heal them, to love them. You remember the old phrase, walk a mile in somebody's shoes if you want to know them. I'm hoping to develop a new definition of perfect love for you and I, for you and me, for us, and for people of light, love, and peace who begin to not be afraid of each other because we love each other, but not with the love that we have grown up with. Not with a godly love, not with a sensuous love, not with a human love, not with a love designed by what we have thought and taught each other up to now. I suggest to you, perfect love has no fear of God, devil, no fear of being infinite or being finite. There is no fear. Zip. And when you begin to have no fear, you begin to facilitate the growth of the seed of love that is perfect love, beginning with you. You see, this idea of perfect love doesn't start here. This is really not a good picture, I don't think, of perfect love at all. But it ignites a conversation because it ignites our mind that is not limited to our brain. And if we begin to surrender increasingly to a love that knows no bounds, a love where I can come to you and say every day, I love you, and mean it. I'm not in love with your flesh as a flesh person wanting what our species usually wants from another person. I'm not even interested in propagating flesh on this earth. I will no longer be fruitful and multiply on this earth in bodies that hate each other, brutalize each other, and love only conditionally. I'm interested in a new race, a race of light people. And I know of only one. So I wrote about it. I suggest to you, Jesus is not the Redeemer, soon coming King. Jesus is the pattern of unconditional love, who became it and did not hold it separate. When he encountered the voice, the energy, a stream of energy, the teaching, whether you call it his Father or not, I call it love. Is love genderless? Love is not limited to duality nor gender. Where does love begin? Tell me, where does true love begin for you? I suggest in your mirror, or your consciousness that you are more than what you see in your mirror. You are more. See, you are not inadequate. You are not unworthy. And anyone that wants to propose that you are not enough, they're just giving voice to what they feel about themselves. When you see perfect love in action, there's no condemnation. There's no fear. See, there is no hierarchy in perfect love. There is no caste system. And when you begin to see, to understand, to reveal, to have the revelation, you begin to form something within you. In your mind. The mind of your consciousness, the consciousness of your mind. Is mind and consciousness the same thing? You answer. You choose. But what I can assure you from the source of my source, what I can assure you from the source of my love, the love that I have encountered, the love that has taught me, the love that sources my words, the source of my words, the source of my energy, the source of my truth, the truth of my source. My source is no longer that which has always been around me in books and theologies and people of power. Love has taught me that the greatest power I have, the absolute greatest power I have, is the power of surrender. To be who I really am. Let that soak in. So we're talking about perfect love that has no fear. We're talking about creating a race of light people. Light people who do all the things that Jesus did and more. No longer being nailed to a cross. Where Is it Jeremiah 31? I don't remember. Where a woman encompasses a man. A woman, a womb. A womb encompasses you. A womb encompasses you that you begin to grow by the knowledge of love, perfect love, where you no longer hold yourself separate from the Creator that's you. So the seed of the Creator is creating itself. The Creator is creating a new creation, beginning with you in your mind with these words, because these words convey, utilize, form, create. It's a stream of energy, no longer limited to your former life, your former love, your lust of one another or power. So I share with you I revert back to the story of the IBM PC, and I'll bring it forward. What a marvelous machine. 300,000 instructions per second. But in that, see, it had an operating system, DOS, DOS. Remember? The DOS operating system was not multitasking. If you were in a word processing program, many of you remember this. If you were in a word processing program and hit print, you had to wait for it to finish printing no matter how long that took. It could only do one thing at a time. It was not multitasking. And I devoured all those PC magazines that came out every month. And then there was a little program that came out called Carousel. Carousel. And Carousel was a little program that you could purchase that would help your little IBM PC, my IBM PC, do more than one thing at a time. So if I sent something to the printer, I could still use this account, Lotus 123 or whatever. Marvelous, marvelous, marvelous. The advent of the IBM PC, some would say, I suggest, maybe not brought about a revolution, but it accelerated it in ways almost unimaginable. Because not only was it a new widget, a new tool, a programmable tool, a tool that common people could utilize to do extraordinary things. But as I recall reading about decades ago, the man who was serving as president of the IBM subsidiary at that time, responsible for bringing IBM PCs to market, made a decision. And I don't know what history says about it, but what I remember reading back then, he made a decision. He was the final decision maker whether the operating system of that IBM PC was going to be proprietary and limited to IBM or IBM, or whether they were going to open it up, whether they were going to open it to an open architecture. And amazingly, see, he didn't do what Apple did. Apple's all proprietary, super proprietary and protective. But the IBM PC, it literally published all of its architecture, the schematics of its architecture. And what did that do? Oh my gosh, it spawned hundreds and thousands of people, everything on their kitchen table and garages and everything, all of a sudden creating new little programs and devices and new cards, new circuit boards that had new functions that they could create and bring to market. Circuit boards that you could then buy a new circuit board, like from AST Research. And you could take the cover off the IBM PC and drop in a circuit board from AST Research that had 640K instead of 64K. My machine came with 64K memory. And I could drop in 640K with an AST Research board. Of course, I bought one. The manifold exponentiation of processing power was amazing. And look how it changed so many lives, because all of a sudden people were creating. People were communicating, collaborating, communicating across boundaries. It was an open architecture. So it accelerated in ways that changed the world. All of a sudden, a common man like me could have a widget, a CPU, on my dining room table. Yep. So I bought one. Eventually started doing accounting and tax on my dining room table with one. Wow. I remember when I'm not lusted after, but when I dreamed of having a hard drive, 10 megabyte hard drive. What does this have to do with love? I'm getting there. I'm trying to get there. So 10 megabyte hard drive at that time when they first came out. Oh man, I don't remember the number. But it was unaffordable for a long time. For me, anyway. But see, we're talking about perfect love. Perfect love casts out all fear. Perfect love has no fear. There's no fear in perfect love. So one of the things I'm emphasizing, underlining, putting in neon lights is the difference between the love that we have known up to this point in time in our creation of our species and everything that we have sodomized, has been about flesh. It's been about what we can get, getting in other people's pants and pockets. It's been about control. It's been the touchy-feely. It's been soulish, emotionish. It's all about emotions, the feelings, meeting each other's needs or something like that. But there's another kind of love. There's a love that has no fear. There is a love that does not use other people, nor even want to use other people or take advantage of them in any way whatsoever, shape, fashion, or form. There is a love that you begin to recognize if you're willing to create it. If you're beginning to realize, if you're beginning to reveal to yourself what you are, who you are, and that, my friend, you are not finite. But to begin to operate in the infinite, begin to realize you're the creator. The creator of your consciousness that has no beginning and has no end. And this consciousness that we have been so protective about, my little world, my consciousness, me that I think is me, that I want to hold on to and protect, and cringe at the thought of anybody else knowing what's in my mind. Fear, fear, fear. What I'm telling you is coming about is perfect love that gives you the architecture and publishes the schematics to you and hands it to you without charge. Except the schematics of life, the schematics of creation, are not handed to you on paper. You grow them. You grow them. The seed is the word. The word of what? The word of the revelation. The revelation of you. The revelation of you being I am. I am the noun. I am the proper noun of I am is no longer in torment by the words generated by the AI of the Enigma machine that we all walk around with. What I'm talking about is magnanimous. It is revelatory, earth-shattering. Oh, that's an understatement. Oh, I have a great picture. I won't look for it, of the earth coming apart, the earth exploding. Consider it your world, the idea of your world exploding. You see, perfect love begins as a seed that you cultivate as you let the words of perfect love communicate with you, to communicate through you, to grow that seed of the everlasting consciousness that knows no protection from each other. Creating the mind of one. The mind of one is coming about. In maturity, because of the cultivation of perfect love. There's no fear in perfect love. So instead of an operating system, like we think of each other, a human, looking at yourself in the mirror with an operating system like DOS, can only do one thing at one time. Can only do one thing at one time. And literally hardly think about something for 30 seconds without being interrupted by a thought about something else. All this is giving way, see? The iteration of our species and the way we have controlled each other with the operating systems of our mind is giving way to perfect love. And perfect love does not need electricity. Perfect love is not magnetic. It's not dependent on duality or dipoles or creating attraction. Very different. So when I talk about surrendering to speak, I'm talking about surrendering to connect, surrendering to connect, to create, communicate, collaborate, where we are no longer fearful of each other's mind, of each other's thought, of each other's eyes, of each other's comments, of each other's judgment. Because the consciousness of perfect love before time began, before we all separated into these little flesh units, was all one. We knew each other. We operated as one. I had no secrets from you. You know what I know, and I know what you know. So I have knowledge, not because I ever picked up that hammer, but I have knowledge because you had the knowledge. We're connected, so I know how to use that hammer, a crescent wrench, a screwdriver, an IBM PC. Lo and behold, a programmable widget, and 300,000 instructions per second. What a processing device in this little thing. And now we hold a device like this. How many millions instructions per second do some of our latest phones process? Billions. In fact, industry has quit even trying to quantify the millions instructions per second that our little phones process now. They're no longer using the MIPS, millions instructions per second, because it's in the billions. It's a different architecture. It's a different operating system. See, my friend, there's a system of collaboration with perfect love, that we are no longer limiting ourselves in separation to say, that's God, that's divine, that's a deity, that's a superpower, a superhero, a soon-coming king, a new kingdom of somebody else's. We're beginning to realize who we are, what we are, in what we have, the ability to be, to do, to say. Sign your life over to no one else ever again. I hope this enlarges your picture of perfect love, and that you begin to be able to even differentiate it from what we have called divine love. No longer needing a religious story of a redeemer or a creator. But walking in the leadership of one that knows no bounds. You see, increasingly, I'm coming into the knowledge of this and how it all operates and who we are, because I surrender to sit here just like this and surrender and speak it. And I learn things every day through the things that I record, that I say, that I speak. And when I listen to them again later in the day, the afternoon, or whenever, there are always sparks, moments of creation where, because of something I said, sparks something. Connections of other words, connections of other pictures, connections of other feelings, connections of other people, connections of new realms, not limited to this one. And this is where we're going. No longer fearing our connections to realms unseen. We're beginning to have no fear of walking in realms that may seem invisible to us at the moment. We no longer fear walking in our power to affect change, to heal people, to empty hospitals, empty the ICU, to feed 5,000, to walk on water, calm the storm, end the floods, the famine. What do you know about your world? Are you willing to know about your world? What's going on in Chad, Togo, Mauritius, Mauritania, UK, Europe, in our own country of America, if this is where you are? Are you willing to know what's going on? Are you willing to know you are not limited to the DOS you were born with? You are no longer limited to the disk operating system or the operating system of your species that limited you to thinking one thought at a time. You're no longer limited to learning line by line, precept by precept. We're coming now to learn, like the Matrix movie where Neo suddenly that plugged in, and all of a sudden he knew jujitsu. Except there's no plug-in in the back of our brain. We are surrender to channeling. We're no longer afraid of someone considering it new age, or we're no longer using terminology like beware of false teachers or beware of the wiles of the devil, or there's a lion in the street. All the fear-mongering of religion will no more hold us back, because our architecture is based on love. Perfect love that has no fear. So we are creating us. We are creating us as a new species that begins just like this. It begins in moments. We're no longer trying to populate the earth, be fruitful and multiply, satisfy the gods. We're beginning to walk in perfection. The perfect mind, the mind of perfect love. So it's a different way of thought, it's a different way of living, it's a different way of computing our reality. So that our reality no more computes us. Remember the movie The 13th Floor. You're no longer limited to the operating system of the mind that you were born with. Be the global. Don't limit your existence to global affairs, because the cosmos is opening up to you if you will open up to it. Where the cosmos will no more be. The cosmos of perfect love will no more be in conflict with you, because you will no more conflict with it, trying to hold your thoughts and your mind to yourself. Be your own enigma maker no more, please. If you don't know what the Enigma machine is, there's several movies and many definitions, many pictures of the encryption devices used in World War II. And you are no longer limited to the encryption of the data of love, where you don't have the keys, where you don't have the schematics, and you're afraid to even look at them. I'm asking you to see the real you. Yes. The real you. The real you, and see your power, your capacity to create you, to recreate you, where the seed of your creation is the knowledge, the word, the living word, the knowledge, where you begin to reveal and cultivate the maturity of understanding to walk out in the cosmos and do everything that Jesus did and more. You're an angel, and I'm calling you to be one. An angel of light. Not an angel lower than God. No, there's no hierarchy. Simply being the creator, force of one, all being the source, all interconnected. No longer limited to the finite. No longer groaning in the flesh or hoping to be employed so we can have a little more money at the end of the month. Hoping for money to buy a new car, pay the insurance, kids' tuition. I go now. This is why I live. I live to love. Not to hold you in my physical arms and touch your flesh. but to love you. The more I love me, the more I love you. The more I love you, the more I love the people laying on the battlefield, blood draining out of their limbs because somebody shot them. Inflictors of brutality. Egocentric people who don't know who they are. But I know who I am. And I am Love in Two Shoes Cottingham. And I have a school with the conscious. You who are willing to become conscious, to create your school, to cultivate your consciousness, to connect with the unseen and collaborate, no longer limited to fools, no longer limited to the fear operations, no longer limited to AI, no longer limited, period. I love you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Tell others about this message. Share about this message. Share about this message. Read the message, listen to the message, outline the message, create a course about this message and all that I have said for months and months. To become the message. That's the message. The message is to become the message. Become the love in two shoes, where you experience the becoming, no longer limited to the operating system of mankind and its protective little mind of DOS. But you become engaged with the angels who are creating them. And the people willing to create the angels, creating the creator, experiencing the architecture, not of somebody else's righteousness, but of the mind of all creation to create it again is who I'm looking for and who I serve. Or who I am. I am who will be me. And if you will be me, I will be you. This is the message. Never the separation that religion has caused. The Creator, the seed, the Word, the living Word, the operating system, the blueprint, the multiplication, the exponentiation of love now covers this earth, and it will change everything with a new beginning. So be not dismayed if your party didn't win or your Social Security is decreased. I don't know how everything's going to work, but I know love wins. Not. I know there are people of light who are beginning to connect with me. And if you begin to be willing to connect with me, I desire for you to be willing to connect with each other. And all of you won't know everything that I know or everything that all of you know about each other. Or do you want to just know about, or do you want to create? In perfect love, there's no taking advantage of anybody else. There's not even the thought of it. There's not even the attraction. There's not even the idea of it. Because you begin to see you are, I am. And I am is all who will be the creator to create perfect love again. The mind no longer destroyed by the elements of separation and an energy that wants to divide and conquer by brutality. So in so many ways I sit here, but in so many ways I kneel before you all on one knee. To honor you and to ask you to begin to see your kingdom, to see you as royalty, and to see your cosmos, and no longer be afraid to walk into the unknown. See within you, love you, and let your love flow to everybody, no matter what their religion, their color, their marital status, their gender, no matter what their identity is of themselves or what identity they prefer. Love them. Love equally. Love them. Let no religion, no theology, no influence rob you from your love covering the earth perfectly. Perfect love. Thank you. I go. If you relate to any of this, please share it. Please share it. Share it with your friends, your family, or share it with anybody you think that may value it. You have a sphere of influence. Deny it not. Even if you've been a recluse for years, you have a sphere of influence because you influence reality. You remember those little ripples I started with? You're no longer a 2D person, just seeing the energy of the ripples of the rock you throw in the lake ripple out in 2 dimensions. Your influence is not limited to 2 dimensions. Your influence of love is dimensionless, interdimensional, not even limited to the spherical. The infinite love of one becomes one again. And I'm asking you to love love. Love each other. Honor love. Quit trying to obey love and be it. Don't worship love. Don't worship an icon. Don't worship anything. But surrender to collaborate with joy in the fullness that there is no separation in the revelation that will come through you to connect, to create the beautiful you, the real you. No longer limited to DOS. No longer limited to the operating systems of the past. I go. I love you all. Be the original you. And I love you. Share these words. Subscribe to my email list if you haven't. I share on there. I think I'm going to begin writing again. I used to send out an email from my heart most every day. As you wish. I love you. My name is TheodoreCottingham.com. Be the real you. Comment, lead, read, create. This is the time for action. This is the time to come out of your closet. This is the time to lead. And all the robes of all the restrictions that have created webs of deceit over you will no longer hold you. Your love is needed, wanted, and desired, and I honor your love. Good day. See ya. TheodoreCottingham.com. Thank you. Create the perfect you in perfect love. Good day. Thank you.